Hello and welcome to Following On the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel and via the Following On podcast feed. I'm Jon Norman alongside the former black cap fast bowler Iain O'Brien to look back at day 2 of the third test between India and New Zealand. India starting it. Remember that clatter of wickets late on day 1, just dragging the game back the way of New Zealand. 3 wickets falling in the final 2 sessions. India came out and they were under pressure, but that pressure was eased. 3 fours from the first over, bowled by Ajaz Patel, and then 2 costly drops. Shubman Gill, 31 not out overnight, was dropped to 45 at long on by the substitute fielder Mark Chapman, and then 8 overs later, Rishabh Pant, who was 1 not out, was dropped on 53 at long off by Matt Henry. Both of those drops came from the bowling of Glenn Phillips. It meant that at lunch, India had only dropped the 1 wicket, 195 for 5. Rishabh Pant had been dismissed, a rare test wicket for Ish Sodhi, who was trusted to bowl. He went for 60, but they were bowled out in the afternoon session, a session that saw 5 wickets go the way of New Zealand. India, 195 became 263 all out. Shubman Gill top scoring with 90. So they led on first innings, and this may prove key, by 28 runs. And by the time that New Zealand had knocked those off, they'd lost their skipper, Tom Latham, who also lost middle stump, a wicket for Akash Deep. From that point on, it was pretty much all about spin. Conway caught at gully from the bowling of Washington Sundar. Rashan Ravindra tempted out the crease and stumped by a mile from the bowling of Ravichandran Ashwin. And then Jadeja taking 4 wickets from the final 5 to 4. And here we are, Iain O'Brien. Looking ahead to day 3, New Zealand lead by 143, so India need 144. They've got 1 wicket in place, so I think we can safely say that with Ajaz Patel and William O'Rourke set to come out early doors tomorrow, India are going to be set 150. Would you say that they are firm favourites to win this test match?
India?
Yes.
No. If New Zealand bowl fewer bad balls than they did in their first innings, if New Zealand bowl fewer full tosses, that was the one I think that cost New Zealand on this pitch, especially the full tosses. It didn't spin. It doesn't spin. They have to bowl into the wicket. It's you bowl into the wicket even as a spinner. So you put away your flighted deliveries. You put away the glamour that you're trying to go as an off-spinner through the right-handers between bat and pad as they're trying to hit that ball through extra cover glamorously. You put that away and you just bowl into the wicket and you ask the ball to spin. You ask the pitch to play its natural variation. It spins big, it doesn't spin, it goes straight on. And we've seen on day 2 how much it's turned. The off-spinner from Ashwin went 8 degrees to the leg side. And then the Karen ball, the next ball went 6 degrees the other way, 14 degrees. How are you supposed to play that? New Zealand don't have a one that can spin it both ways quite like that. But New Zealand have to hit the pitch. They have to be tighter, fewer bad balls. But Young's contribution this afternoon and his partnership with Mitchell, they've obviously enjoyed batting together. And he's had a wonderful tour, and in this match, partnerships 87 and 50 with Mitchell, and then had more runs. He's played a big part here to put New Zealand in a wonderful. It's not a wonderful position, but it's a good position.
It's a position. Will Young has faced more deliveries in this Test series than anybody else. He has registered scores of 33, 48 not out, 18, 23, 71, and today, and he has top scored with 51. Do New Zealand drop Will Young for the first test against England and put Kane Williamson back at 3? And if they don't do that, what do they do?
You dropped Trott, didn't they? Why would you drop Jonathan Trott? With how many runs he was scoring. I've hit more T6s than Jonathan Trott. But with how many runs he was
scoring. Only you could go from what should New Zealand do about Kane Williamson, Will Young?
It was rude.
I've hit more 6s than Jonathan Trott.
Within,
I would say, 13 seconds of starting the answer. You don't know, do you? I don't know.
I don't know. But why would England drop Jonathan Trott? How are you going to drop Young? And this is you've asked me this all day, and the only guy that could be dropped is Conway, and there's no chance that's happening.
Could New Zealand drop Blundell
and put
Phillips as the off-spinning the part-time spinning wicket-keeper?
That's
just crazy town, right?
Well,
because you've got to bowl, you've got to play 4 fast bowlers.
Put Latham with the
Latham the
take
gloves.
The captaincy off Latham, goes back to Kane Williamson, and he takes the gloves. New Zealand's played 4 wicket keepers in cricket at times. There's been 4 wicket keepers out on the field in Test matches and in one-day cricket. It's mad.
Brendan McCullum, didn't he play a Test where he took the pads off and bowled a couple of overs?
Yeah. But
anyway, it's probably a conversation another day.
But that is probably the only option again, and that's still a tough one on Blundell, because not a great scoring tour, but it's been hard to score. If he puts away the Ridgeback, he's got to take those stickers and change his bat. If he hasn't scored runs with that Ridgeback, I think there's a jinx on it somehow. It's an Australian thing, and he should be playing with a scoop or something. But the thing for me for today's play, and I asked you just before we came off air, just before the end of the day's play, what's more costly, Ravinder's play and miss, the 2 drops, or Ashwin's catch? What has had a bigger effect on the game? Ashwin's catch to get rid of
Mitchell.
That is possibly it was a great catch. That's possibly the biggest contributor.
Okay.
The New Zealand 2 drop catches, they scored 73 more runs in that partnership, Gill and Pant. They were 127 for 4. It could have been 127 for 5. They added an extra 73.
Yeah.
In a 96-run partnership for the 5th wicket. But Ashwin's catch.
Well, let's talk about Ashwin's catch, and let's talk about how New Zealand went about their second innings, because they started off trailing by 28. This is after Ajaz Patel had taken 5 for 103 on that the same track that he took a 10 for in 2021. Glenn Phillips 1 for 84. The bowling figures: Matt Henry 8 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 26. William O'Rourke we didn't see today. 2 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 5. Ajaz Patel 21.4 overs, 3 maidens, 5 for 103. Glenn Phillips 20 overs, no maidens, 1 for 84. But he saw 2 really costly drops go down. They were as simple a chance as you're going to get in the outfield. Ravindra just bowled the 1 over last night. That resulted in the wicket, the run out of Kohli. That doesn't go against his figures, of course. 0 for 8. And Ish Sodhi finally brought on to bowl. And he bowled pretty well, I thought, when you consider he hasn't played anything. He hasn't played any first-class cricket since March. He's played nothing he hasn't played any cricket since June, when he was playing T20 against Papua New Guinea in the T20 World Cup. 7 overs, no maidens, 1 for 36. And he picked up the wicket of Rishabh Pant. So that was a big, big wicket. But runs from Washington Sundar, 38 not out. India got to sort that out. That's the second time in the series he's been left stranded. So they'll have a look at that. Shubman Gill top scoring with 90. It meant when New Zealand came out to bat, they were in deficit. On a pitch like this, you lead by 30, you trail by 30. On a high-scoring game, it doesn't really matter. You're midway point or late on the 3rd day, they score so freely now, or midway point on the first session of the 4th day. It doesn't really matter. You know that the draw's in the equation if you can't win the game. There's no draw here. And the pressure was showing on New Zealand, and the ball was absolutely ragging at times. Jarrod Kimber, the dismissal of Phillips, the Karen ball, as sharply a turning Karen ball as anybody's ever seen Ravindra Ashwin bowl. And he didn't just do it once. Did it 4 times, and he picked 2 wickets up.
It was 6 degrees off the straight. I think it's 1.5 degree to take the edge. I think it's something minimal to take the edge. It was 6 degrees, and that's the opposite of the 8 degrees that his offie was going. Unhittable unless your bat's a whole lot wider. That was the length, though, and the pace that he had the bowl. Hitting the top of the stumps, hitting it, bowling into the wicket, and then hitting the top of the stumps. Not using the loop to hit the top of the stumps, into the wicket, getting it to grip. You bowl it into the wicket, the seam hits the pitch harder. And if you're going to put the revs that Ashwin has had, as I said in commentary, he was bowling day 2 on a day 5 pitch. He was trying to keep things quiet. He went for over 4s, as did Jadeja. But this is the thing, is that if you're giving away runs, you're also asking batsmen to make mistakes. And that's the thing for New Zealand. Be shorter rather than fuller. Ask the batsmen to make the mistakes. And so far in this series, Indian batsmen have made a lot of mistakes. I think they've gone away from their own personal game plans. I think they're playing a different style of cricket.
Well, one other thing that's been consistent for this Test series has been collapses. India first Test, 31 for 3 to 46 all out. New Zealand lost 4 for 40 and 60 deliveries and 3 for 30 and 30 balls. India 408 for 3, bowled out for 462. Second Test, continuing on that theme, New Zealand collapsed twice, India once, but it was enough. And in the third Test as well, New Zealand in first innings, 159 for 3, bowled out for 235. And India today, they were at one stage 203 for 5, and they lost the last 5 wickets for 60 runs. That tells me, Iain O'Brien, New Zealand are in this game, but they have got to take wickets early. If they take wickets early, the currency of the run is only going to get greater, the pressure of the situation also, and they'll be in the game.
It might be a day for a long stop. It might be a day because of how much it spins. It might be for a day where the fine leg is super fine because it's going to get past the keeper, and that 4 byes is going to be a big part of the run chase. At one stage when New Zealand were 170, India, well, it is. It's 10%. 10% of New Zealand's runs are byes in New Zealand's second innings. That's third top score. Third equal. No, fourth equal. It's in there. This is somehow, they're not going to have a long stop. That's silly. But the ability to stop runs and just it's the desperation that New Zealand are going to have to show in the field. That's going to be the little extra bit of hustle. The little extra bit could just be.
You'll be back tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Jarrod will be back. Jeremy Coney, Daniel McCarty, myself, Jon Norman, for one final day's play. It won't be a full day. India need 143, so they will be mindful that they need to go quite hard, quite early. But I imagine at some point between lunch and tea, we will find out whether New Zealand have won this series 2-1 or whether New Zealand have won this series 3-0.
Or a tie.
Or it's been a tie and New Zealand have won the series 2-0.
Undefeated in India.
They've still won it 2-0.
Like the 2010 New Zealand World Cup football team. Undefeated.
Yes, I was in South Africa for that World Cup. The only undefeated team at the World Cup. See, this has been the great day of cricket commentary. We have covered a lot of bases today. And for a couple more tomorrow, please join us here on Following On. But for now, thanks for watching.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.